what's up everybody? Welcome back to another episode of B is for Build. In today's episode, we're just continuing focusing on doing the stuff that we gotta do to get this engine to be able to fire up. So we need to be working on our exhaust, our turbo charge pipes, and not a bad after work pull home. Before we get down to work, I want to take a second out to thank our sponsor. Today's episode is sponsored by the mobile game King of Avalon. King of Avalon is your classic online multiplayer strategy game, and it's even reached #1 in the US App Store. Within King of Avalon, you can build up your own city, you can build up your armies, you can raise dragons, and you can choose your own strategy. You can build your dragons, choose your strategy, choose your fate, attack nearby players, attack far away players, attack NPCs. You can do a lot of fun stuff in this game. I've personally been playing it for a little bit now, and I've been having a lot of fun. The graphics are very good, the motion is very smooth, it's very intuitive and very easy to learn. So here's what I'm gonna do. For any of you guys that already play this game or are gonna get this game, if you download this game, it will help support this channel. So I appreciate if you guys will do this. But any of you guys that have the game already or play the game and reach level 10, if you DM me on Instagram, BS for Build on Instagram, if you DM me a screenshot of that, one of you guys will get a free BS for Build sticker pack mailed out to your house. So guys, go have some fun, treat yourself, take a break, play some games. It's a free game, you got nothing to lose. Download links are in the description below. Go down there, grab the game, and have yourself some fun. Thanks King of Avalon for sponsoring this episode. Let's get down to work. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started on the exhaust. First thing that I did last night off camera was kind of scope out how I wanted to build the rest of this hatch. And since so many of you guys had such wonderful comments about the turbo placement and that stuff, I thought I'd just take a second to review. So I looked at it like this and I was like, that's awesome. And I looked at it like this and I was like, wow, it's still awesome. So I decided that we're definitely gonna keep doing it. Yeah, so the game plan is to build the exhaust. We're gonna use two 180-degree pipes, one going that way, one going that way, and the exhaust straight down the center, build some supports off of our cross brace, and then they're gonna peek out of the car right around here. So let's get started. Oscar did a great job of taking the two 180s, trimming them back a little bit, and then tack welding them to the V-band so they could fit into the back of the turbos. When we did all our measurements and stuff, these things come down and join up dead nuts center on the intake manifold, so that's all really good. Right now we're having a bit of a discussion because we don't want it to look too boring, so we're trying to make sure that it kind of has like some exciting kind of look and feel to it, and maybe making some more changes, but this is a really good start. So we're just going to talk, kind of do a little bit of design work, figure out how we want to make these things go, and try and make them look a little exciting, because right now it's actually they kind of lined up too well. We don't want it to just be like kind of a plain old straight shot. All right, guys, well, we took a minute, we had a beer, we took a look at it, thought of crazier ideas. To be honest, this all lines up way too easily. So if we clock that exhaust, if we just do this, we slide it out here, and we pair it up with the other one, it's literally just a straight shot. So all we'd be doing is welding in a straight tube and then a 45 right here, cut that off, and it would be done. And it would look kind of boring and kind of plain. So we literally said, like, what if we were a little more inefficient, but a little bit more dramatic? Like, what if we kind of had the exhaust kind of match the style of the build a little bit, right? So then we thought, bring this down to here. We're still away from everything that's critical. Come away from the air-to-water intercooler, so we're not heating up our intake pipes. And keep in mind, guys, there's so much open air flying around through here. All you need is about an inch and a half of airspace, and one thing's not really going to heat the other because there's too much air flowing between them to kind of heat soak. So anyways, going through here, we're going to go down into here, and then we're going to come up through this hole right here, and then the exhaust is going to come up at an angle like this. Cool thing about that is that when we do it over there, when we do it over there, they're going to kind of meet, well, they'll stop right here, but the exhaust flow is going to meet right here, and the flames will shoot at each other, which will be hilarious. So that is what we've decided to do. As far as the turbo cold side or charged side, whatever you want to call it, we are looking at different strategies. We could flip these guys around because we know they're on there backwards right now, but we're waiting back from an email on Garrett whether that's actually going to matter or not, because we don't really think it does. But anyways, we could flip these around and maybe make it easier to get around here. So we got to just find we're going to do exhaust first, and then we're going to worry about this and find a way to get from here to here in a nice, like, little creative way. We've got all of our pieces cut out and mapped out. So here's a set of one section. So what we did was we took two mirrored sections of piping from two different pieces that had like small blemishes that ETS gave us, and they were mirrored. So then we matched, we marked out matching lines. So we cut both sides at the same exact spot so we could have, you know, mirrored exhaust. So Oscar and I went ahead and cut all those up. Now we're gonna go ahead and clean them up and start kind of shaping it out and tack welding them in there. In the background, while Oscar is working on the exhaust and I'm kind of assisting him where I can, I'm going to go ahead and focus on mounting the heat exchangers. So the heat exchangers, now that we have a different exhaust path, they go kind of right around here. And the thing to keep in mind is, so our wide body kit kind of comes in there, goes across there, you know, more or less flat, and then we have this vent that comes into here that is going to shove air down into here. I have a very early prototype of the vent kind of 3D modeled out, and I'm going to kind of check out my sizing, kind of like figure out exactly where that vent's going to land, and then find a mounting spot for the heat exchanger where the air will kind of just come in and get pushed right down into the heat exchanger. All right, Oscar got this thing all tacked up. It looks phenomenal. It's super parallel, just a really, really good mirrored match coming through the car. It's super badass, and we're right where we want to be as far as kind of how it was sweeping around, staying away from the air-to-water intercooler. It's really, really cool. I only have one kind of hesitation about this, which is 430 cubic inch V8. Yes, there's turbochargers, but besides that, it's just straight piped coming straight out. You know, we have a cam on here. We have aftermarket heads. That means louder, louder, louder. Everything's getting louder. This is going to be an extremely loud car already. And then we have exhaust that's kind of like pointing head level. Obviously, we're not going to keep it, you know, like this. We're looking at where to make our cut and where to trim this off so it looks cool. But I want to just spend a little bit of time problem solving to see if we can get this exhaust to point up a little more than it points kind of in and at bystanders, because right now we're hitting people on the left and we're hitting people on the right. This could be just Yeah, too loud. So we did some testing with a little bit of like cardboard ring and stuff like that and kind of facing the angle, and we found out that it will face mostly up if we do it the way we want. So it's time to dim the lights and bust out the laser. Anytime we're cutting something like this, it's going to be like, we want it to be really parallel and look really good on the car. This guy's got a little X in the front of it. It's just like a, I don't know, these are probably 15 bucks from Harbor Freight. So we're going to mount this onto a camera tripod and then level it onto the car or behind the car. Then we'll dim the lights and it'll give us a laser that we can shoot across both of these and make our mark for cutting. All right, we used laser powers and we got our lines set. We're happy with how they look. It's time to take these things off, make the cuts, and then Oscar's gonna start welding. The laser lines resulted, go ahead and throw that piece on there, Oscar, on, resulted in a really good, even, level cut. And actually from here on the camera, it kind of looks cool, but in person, it starts to make the car look pigeon-toed. It's kind of, it makes it have kind of a weird look to it that I don't really like. It kind of comes off weird in the end. So what we're going to do is, we have a ton more 90 degrees, like straight to 90. So what we're looking at is that if we just, so that's why we cut this tack off here. If we rotate this up, it starts to go up, kind of more like I like it. And then, we cut too much off of this to really capture the angle that we want. So we're going to go ahead and take another 90 degree, kind of make it the same length, and then have it come up here and just try and make a different cut and see how it looks. We're going to keep playing with options. All right, well, I burnt myself because I'm stupid, but I got some burn gel on there and it's getting better. Oscar did a great job of getting these guys jacked straight up the way that we wanted to. Well, they're not up, they're kind of going out, but they're very equal, which is the important part. Now I think we're gonna chase this body line. This one's sloping down here, so we're gonna go ahead and hit the lights, bust out our laser, match the body line, kind of get down, match the body line, and then we're gonna draw our line and slice these babies off and see how they look. Quick update, guys. So we did the whole coming out here and doing a 90 thing, and then we trimmed it kind of following this body line. We made that trim and it just totally flattened out the pipe and made it look really, really boring. It just kind of, and it was too boring. So then we actually started playing around with these ones that were like flaring out this way, as you saw, and now we're going to try and just kind of tone those down a little bit and see how they look. This is such a key part of the build that we're not going to really risk, having this come out looking lame. So if it means we do it 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, we'll do it. finally got it. In the end, the look that we were going for and the shape that we needed was, we were kind of overcomplicating it. Something with no bends at all and just the right cut got us exactly what we wanted. So you can see it matches up really well with the Lamborghini body lines. It looks aggressive. It's got the look I want to, and it's not, you know, kind of zooming off to one side or the other too much that it's going to kind of shoot exhaust at people, and it will shoot it back behind the car where people would expect it to come from. It is dangerously head level, which yeah, just don't stand behind this car if we're going to hit the two-step. That would be bad. So that came out great. Oscar is going to weld that thing fully out in a couple minutes. Update on the heat exchanger frame. So basically the heat exchanger is going to sit, it's going to go up here and kind of comes down like this, and it follows this and then runs along this angle here. So I got to build one more standoff that's going to put it up to here with the tab on it, and then that will be the first heat exchanger. Oh, I think it's actually going to come off of here. I'm going to build a tab off of here, and that will be the first heat exchanger sorted. But before I do that, I actually want to go ahead and replicate these pieces and get them on the other side, get a nice mirror to them, and then we can worry about using the tabs on the heat exchanger. All right, I got most of my frame built to hold that heat exchanger. Oscar rolled up and welded it for me really quickly. I got it tacked, but it was not going very well. So I had Oscar just go ahead and quickly weld out most of that. That's gonna get a chop right there, and then we're gonna build tabs off of that stuff. But that's for me to do on the side. We're gonna go ahead and move on now to the cold side piping that runs from the turbine housing to the air to water intercooler. Now before we do that, we have to fess up that we made a mistake. Now these are mirrored turbos, and the turbine housings we had kind of originally designed and set up like this. We thought that was pretty cool. Shout out to Truly. Anyways, we had them like that, and a couple like really kind of like eagle-eyed viewers were like, guys, you got these swapped left to right. This needs to go over there, that needs to go over there. And we thought, you know, they're mirrored turbos, maybe it won't matter, blah, 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 blah. I emailed Garrett, and their technical team said, absolutely not. If you run it like this, it'll actually run, and people have made this mistake before, but you'll build like at max like 1 to 2 pounds of boost. It just won't build boost. These have to be in an opposite thing. So if the exhaust housing is going this way, then the turbine housing has to go that way, which is actually good because it kind of gets it away from the exhaust and it lines us up for this. So that's why we were planning on swapping them anyways. But I wanted to just verify to let you guys know technically what the technical answer was, and the technical answer was we screwed up. So we're gonna switch them. We're all fixed up. Now we got to figure out a cool way to go from here, stay away from the exhaust, and make it down to here on both sides. We did some playing around, and we found that if we kind of come off of the air to water intercooler like this and kind of parallel this tubing right here, the exhaust, and then we're going to cut this at a 45 and go straight up into the turbo, that it kind of has this cool like kind of parallel look. We like it. So we're going to go ahead and take this 90, we're going to cut it in half. We'll be able to then use it on both sides and then add a little bit of straight, and that should get us there. All right, we decided to go, so what we did was we took a 90 and then we cut it and made an S out of it, so it kind of goes like straight and then S's and then straight again. Then we used two 45s. We really like the look of this because from this angle it's pretty much like paralleling the tube, and then from this angle it's kind of like riding it. We like it. We like it. It looks cool. So, and it's also very easily replicated. So we're going to go ahead and just cut another 90 in half, and then, oh, we also trimmed it. I think we trimmed this much off of it. Not really sure. But anyways, yep, we're going to do that again and get it over there. Okay, we built the second little S-curve here. There's a little bit of fine tuning. I think that this thing is up a little bit high. I got to get it down a little bit, but they are matching, and you can see when you stand back, it looks really good. And I really like the look of how the exhaust kind of wraps up, goes into the turbo, and then comes out behind it and comes back out. I think that looks really, really cool. And from the side and the angles, it looks great. I'm super happy about the way that this came out. Huge thanks. I ran by ETS today, the guys that gave us all the metal for this exhaust, and I asked them if they had a couple extra couplers and T-bolt clamps, and they gave us all the T-bolt clamps and couplers that we're going to need for this and for this right here. So shout out to Extreme Turbo Systems. They're the guys that made our crazy ass air-to-water intercooler, and I'm going to put a link in the description to their website. Huge thanks to them. Also, they made the heat exchangers, which I'm going to show you later in this episode when I hopefully finish mounting those tomorrow. So we're calling it a night tonight. We'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to finish mounting the heat exchangers, and then we're going to weld this all up. All right, we're back for another day. We got a small problem, slight problem. We're running out of gas, and the store is closed. We can't get more until tomorrow, so this day might get interesting. We're going to jump on one thing that we read from some commenters in a previous episode. They pointed out a really good point. So this is our reservoir, you know, and we're going to put some fill necks in here, one on each side, so we could fill it up. But then, since these guys, at least on one side we know, are welded kind of straight in backwards, and there's a plate right here, it's going to create an air pocket from here up, wouldn't be able to get filled, and that we really don't want that to happen. So thanks for the comments, guys. Thanks for pointing that out. We're going to start the day by pulling that off. Oscar's going to drill a hole starting in the bottom. We're just going to drill through the bottom through that piece right there, which will allow the air to escape out through our filler neck, and then he'll weld the little hole, the access hole in the bottom shut, so it doesn't leak water, right? Duh. Okay, so we're going to do that now. All right, we got the reservoir all fixed up. So Oscar drilled a hole in the bottom and through there, also welded that shut. And then he even went as far as putting our filler necks on. So you can see we got Mishimoto sent us these caps and their aluminum kind of filler neck that you can use to fabricate onto your own things, which we use, and we wanted one there and one there. So we could fill this thing up top to the tippy top on both sides. It'll help prevent sloshing. So that's really cool. They look really good, and Oscar did a great job of keeping them nice and uniform. So that looks pretty rad. I'm happy with the way that turned out. So finally, that thing is done. Next up on the agenda, Oscar is going to do his thing on the exhaust pipes and the charge pipes. So he's going to just fully weld each one of these seams out. I do want to point out that we're not back purging these. They're stainless steel. Normally you would back purge, but we're using that solar flux stuff that Oscar brought into the shop. It works really well. So we have no affiliation with those guys at all, but we do recommend it as a product because it's been working really good for us, especially kind of for people that don't want to buy the whole back purging setup and everything like that. It's been working really well. So he's going to weld those out. While he's doing that, I'm going to go ahead and finish this up, and then it's time to start getting all the mounting tabs cut and placed and ready to roll on the heat exchangers. So once he's done welding that up, we can just install our tabs, throw a couple nuts and bolts, and we'll have our heat exchangers mounted as well. Oscar did a great job welding out our exhaust pipes and our charge pipes. They look phenomenal. We are actually going to try and polish these up so they look a little bit better for SEMA. So these will get sent off for polishing a little bit later. We're going to probably do some in the shop and some outsourced. So that's really, really cool. I'm really happy with how these came together, and that's awesome. So now I've cut out all my little pieces for the mounts for the heat exchanger. I've whipped up the spool gun. I'm going to be using the spool gun so my welds are a little bit better, and I'm going to go ahead and start getting both the heat exchangers tabs welded onto them and weld out the rest of these structures. Got the frames for the heat exchangers fully welded out. All the little hard to reach areas underneath here and stuff like that, we got those welded out on both sides with the spool gun, cleaned up, sanded down. And then now I've got our little tabs. So these tabs are tacked in, they go down here, and then there'll be a hole, and then we'll put a rib nut inside the frame here, as long as it'll fit. I think it'll fit. And then we'll put a bolt into that rib nut, and that'll hold these guys in place. There's one more that's gonna go here to here. I haven't done that yet on both of these. So I was going to just spool gun these tabs out really fast, but I've decided I'm actually going to TIG weld them. The spool gun is fast, and it might even look better, but I'm coming to the realization that if I don't start TIG welding and practicing and just start welding more stuff, I'm never gonna get better. So it's like some things might have to look a little bit worse than they could have if maybe, say, I had Oscar do it. But you know, it's time to learn. So I'm gonna go ahead and TIG weld these up on both of the heat exchangers, and then we'll be ready to build the kind of custom one that goes here. Well, in the end, I'm really, really happy that I went ahead and took the time to practice the welding because it came out really good. I'm really happy. You know, welding, if you're just learning on thick material, is actually a little bit easier than welding really thin material because it gives you a little bit more room for mistakes. So both the sides are really good. They've all got welds on there that I'm actually proud of, so that's really cool. So I was originally going to put I know the camera's not focusing, I apologize. I was going to put rib nuts in here. Only thing about rib nuts is, you know, they stay where they are as a nut by gripping onto the material you put them in. Aluminum's a softer material, and so they're more likely to spin out on you. And what happens is if you put a bolt, you know, through your piece into your rib nut, and then your rib nut spins out, your bolt is stuck in the rib nut and you can't get anything detached. You can't take your stuff apart. So everywhere I can, I actually like to avoid using rib nuts on aluminum. So I've actually decided that's what we're gonna do here. So we're just gonna actually be doing a nut and a bolt through the actual frame. So I'm gonna drill a hole through here, through the frame, and through the backside, and then we'll shoot a nut and a bolt. So we're gonna be bolting up here, 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 and here. We were originally gonna build something from back here, but there's two things. One, we really don't need it because it's extra secure already. And two, I kind of like the way that it looks when it's kind of floating. I think it looks cool. So that's how we're gonna keep it. So we're gonna go buy some nuts and bolts, clean up all of these. You can tell that they need to be like sanded, the edges beveled out a little bit, and then drill our holes and finish mounting these up. All right, we got the heat exchangers cleaned up and bolted in. They look phenomenal. I'm super happy. I want to give a huge shout out to ETS, Extreme Turbo Systems. They're the guys that built our awesome air-to-water intercooler, and these heat exchangers also came from them. Huge shout out to those guys. I want to thank them for the support on the build, and there's going to be a link in the description. They make really good, high-quality parts, lots of turbo parts, some exhaust parts, all sorts of great stuff. So guys, go check out their website. They're awesome people to work with, and all their stuff has a lifetime warranty, which is really good, so you know it's high quality. Thanks guys, links in the description. And with that said, that is a wrap for this episode. Heat exchangers mounted, exhaust tubing done, charge pipes done. We're getting close to starting up. Thank you guys so much for watching. In the next episode, we're actually going to weigh the car. There's been a lot of discussion on the weight of the car. People acting like we've added a lot of stuff. I still feel like we removed a lot. So we've got our guesses on the board back there. It's going to be a fun one. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss out on that. And I'll see you soon. Peace!
Come on.